Welcome back to the Future Archive. Today, we examine archived broadcasts from July 9, 2026, a day that offered a masterclass in humanity's ability to surprise itself. We'll cover a diplomatic gift that raised eyebrows and security questions, a find that exposed the futility of regulating the unregulatable, a corporate retreat that foreshadowed the end of an era, a meme's tragic arc from viral to endangered, and a heatwave that would later be taught as the moment the climate debate finally ran out of patience. The first story. UK Prime Minister receives firearm as diplomatic gift from Turkish President at NATO Summit. At the NATO Summit in Vilnius on July 9, 2026, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer was presented with an unusual diplomatic gift from Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, a hand-engraved pistol, complete with ammunition. The gift, intended as a symbol of alliance, immediately sparked confusion and concern. Diplomatic protocol typically involves exchanges of art, books, or cultural artifacts, not firearms. Security teams were left scrambling to address the logistical and legal implications, as the weapon had to be transported across international borders. The incident highlighted the cultural disconnect between nations with differing norms around firearms, as well as the awkward position of leaders when traditional gestures collide with modern security protocols. This moment perfectly encapsulates the tensions of 2026 diplomacy, where old-world symbolism clashed with new-world sensibilities. By 2050, such gifts had been phased out entirely, replaced by NFTs of questionable value and AI-generated poetry. The incident also underscored a broader truth, that even in an age of hyperconnectivity, mutual understanding was not guaranteed. The pistol, incidentally, now resides in a museum, where it is occasionally cited as evidence in the Great Spreadsheet Crisis of 2043, when someone tried to audit NATO's gift registry. Diplomacy, where the most dangerous thing in the room is sometimes the gift. The second story. Major adult content platform fined £630,000 for failing age verification checks. On July 9, 2026, the UK's Information Commissioner's Office fined a leading adult content platform £630,000 for failing to implement proper age verification measures. The penalty was the result of a years-long investigation into the site's compliance with the Online Safety Act, which required platforms to ensure users were over 18. Critics argued the fine was both too little and too late, as the platform had long relied on self-declaration for age checks, a system easily circumvented by underage users. The case highlighted the broader struggle to enforce digital boundaries in an era where AI-generated deepfakes and anonymized access made regulation nearly impossible. This fine was a textbook example of humanity's favorite strategy, addressing problems only after they had spiraled out of control. By 2050, age verification had become a relic of a simpler time, as biometric scans and AI-driven identity confirmation rendered such debates obsolete, or so we thought, until the AI safety committees realized no one had bothered to verify the AI's age either. The incident also marked an early skirmish in the subscription wars, as platforms began experimenting with paywalls as a crude form of age control. The Internet, where the only thing harder to verify than age is common sense. The third story. Microsoft announces 4,800 layoffs and scales back Xbox in major restructuring. In a move that sent shockwaves through the tech and gaming industries, Microsoft announced on July 9, 2026, that it would lay off 4,800 employees and significantly scale back its Xbox division. As part of a significant restructure, the decision marked a sharp pivot away from hardware and traditional gaming, as the company shifted focus toward cloud-based services and AI-driven content generation. Analysts speculated that the retreat from Xbox, once a cornerstone of Microsoft's consumer strategy, signaled the beginning of the end for human-controlled entertainment. The layoffs affected teams across gaming, including developers, marketers, and support staff, and raised questions about the future of interactive media in an AI-dominated landscape. This restructuring was one of the first dominoes to fall in the Great Subsidization, as companies raced to offset the costs of AI development by cutting legacy operations. By 2050, the Xbox brand would survive as a nostalgic footnote, its controllers gathering dust in museums alongside other relics of the pre-AGI era, like human reflexes and local multiplayer. The layoffs also served as a reminder that even the most dominant corporations were not immune to the law of unforeseen consequences, especially when an intern was rumored to have misplaced a critical spreadsheet. Progress, where the past is a cost center and the future is a subscription. The fourth story. Viral squeaky frog species faces extinction due to habitat loss. On July 9, 2026, conservationists warned that the squeaky frog, a species that had briefly achieved internet fame for its unusual high-pitched calls, was now at risk of extinction. The frog, native to a small region in Southeast Asia, had become a meme sensation in 2024 after a viral video showcased its comically loud vocalizations. However, deforestation and urban expansion had devastated its habitat, pushing the species to the brink. The irony was not lost on observers. A creature that had captured global attention through digital culture was now disappearing because of the very same forces, human encroachment and environmental neglect, that digital culture often ignored. The squeaky frog's arc from viral sensation to endangered species is a darkly poetic metaphor for the Anthropocene. By 2050, its extinction was often cited in environmental studies as a cautionary tale about the fleeting nature of internet fame and the permanent nature of ecological damage. The frog's story also underscored a grim truth, that humanity's capacity for collective fascination rarely translated into collective action. The last human meeting to discuss its conservation, historians note, could probably have been an email. Fame is fleeting. Habitat loss is forever. The fifth story. Scientists warn of unprecedented marine heatwave around the UK. On July 9, 2026, climate scientists issued urgent warnings about an extreme marine heatwave developing in the waters around the United Kingdom. Ocean temperatures were measured at up to 5 degrees Celsius above average in some areas, a phenomenon that threatened marine ecosystems, disrupted fishing industries, and raised concerns about the accelerating pace of climate change. The heatwave was attributed to a combination of long-term global warming and short-term atmospheric conditions, including persistent high-pressure systems. While such events had been predicted for decades, their sudden intensity and frequency caught many off guard, prompting renewed debates about climate adaptation and mitigation. This marine heatwave is now widely regarded as the moment when climate change stopped being a distant abstraction and started being an undeniable, inescapable reality for millions. By 2050, it was a staple of climate science curricula, often paired with the dry observation that humanity had spent decades arguing over whether the ocean was boiling while the thermometer was in plain sight. The event also accelerated the collapse of several fisheries, which in turn contributed to the economic disruptions of the Great Subsidization, as governments scrambled to offset the losses with AI-driven aquaculture initiatives. The canary in the coal mine, it turned out, was a very confused fish. July 9, 2026 was a day of contrasts. Diplomacy armed with pistols, the internet armed with fines, corporations disarming their past, nature disarming its defenses, and the climate refusing to be ignored. It was, in short, a day that proved humanity was as inconsistent as ever. This has been the Future Archive. The past, as always, is not going anywhere.